Good evening, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. Sending love and kisses to you all. I hope you have a moment. I just wanted to share a little story time with D'Lo. This is a true story. Um, it's called Unable to Breathe. So I hope you enjoy it. Unable to breathe. Seasons in life when we feel like we're suffocating. I've had many instances where I've experienced this in relationships throughout my life. I especially experienced this before I moved out of Texas to Colorado, where I felt unfulfilled, unhappy, both personally and professionally. I couldn't breathe and I just felt claustrophobic. Well, an opportunity was presented to me to move to Colorado, and without even thinking about it, I just did it. That was so unlike me, and I had never done anything like that before. But I was that desperate that I didn't even think twice. I just jumped. I never looked back, and I resided in Colorado for 20 years until I couldn't breathe again to the point of suffocation. January 2017 involved the culmination of events that led to my decision to choose life over death. The very first week of the year involved me passing out at work. I had many ongoing medical issues that were just accumulating and getting worse until my body couldn't take it anymore. This was an obvious sign that I needed to take a step back from work because this was one of the biggest causes of stress in my life. And it was literally affecting my health. Little did I know that a little step back was eventually going to be me resigning from my 11-year employment at the Summit County Sheriff's Office. That was one of the most difficult decisions I had ever had to make. It was hard, but I knew that this time I had to choose my life over the job. In early spring 2017, my cardiologist put me on oxygen due to the temporary drop in oxygen saturation that I experienced while I slept. I had to use the oxygen at night, and it was annoying more than anything. I had the big oxygen tank with the extra large, extra long tubes and everything, just, the whole 9 yards. After starting the oxygen, I started noticing, I was getting nosebleeds, which I had never had before. Those just kind of came out of the blue. Now, when I say nosebleeds, it was more like a freaking waterfall coming out of my nose that wouldn't stop, and nothing I would do would stop it. They would always tell you, lean your head back, pinch your nose. Well, I couldn't lean my head back because I was choking on my own blood. I mean, it was just literally a waterfall. These episodes were a situation that immediately became serious because of the fact that I have secondary adrenal insufficiency. I was diagnosed with secondary adrenal insufficiency in December of 2007 as a result of a brain tumor I had that affected my pituitary gland. Adrenal insufficiency, in very simple terms, is a disorder that occurs when the body doesn't produce enough of the life-sustaining substance called cortisol. Cortisol regulates our heart rate, blood pressure, inflammation, glucose, and electrolyte levels. Those with adrenal insufficiency, like myself, must replace the cortisol their bodies lack by taking oral steroids several times a day. I take about 30 milligrams of hydrocortisone daily. That's on a good day, and I space it out every 4 hours. Cortisol's most important job is to help our bodies respond to any type of stress, including illness, emotional or physical stresses, injury or trauma, increasing cortisol production up to 10 times the normal amount. During any type of emergency or situation where we cannot take steroids orally, we must receive an immediate injection of steroids, or our bodies will go into adrenal crisis, causing coma or heart failure and eventually death. Without proper and immediate treatment, an adrenal crisis can become fatal. I always have my emergency kit on hand, which contains a vial of Solucortef, which is hydrocortisone, 100 milligrams, which needs to be administered intramuscular along with going to the ER. I have an emergency, a medical bracelet that I have on my Fitbit that says, in case of emergency, I need 100 milligrams injection of Solucortef. So I always have that. So back to the nosebleed story. At the time of having the nosebleed, I was unable to give myself the injection due to me trying to keep myself leaning over the kitchen or bathroom sink to avoid blood going all over everything. So due to this, after calling 911, I would have to wait for EMS to arrive and for the EMTs to administer the injection. I would do my best to keep myself calm and awake while waiting for the EMTs to arrive because I could literally feel the life draining out of me. When they finally would arrive, there was always a delay in getting my shot because they weren't familiar with my disease and didn't understand that time was of the essence and I needed that shot immediately. I had a few times where when they arrived I was already losing consciousness. I remember one time being on my bathroom floor and just leaning up against the cabinet and just, that was literally holding me up. And once they gave me the shot, then I would, come to. There was one time that I called 911 in the middle of the night because I started getting a nosebleed. And just when I was about to pass out, they did the injection and transported me to the ER. The ER physician took care of the bleeding and released me. Well, it was like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I didn't have a way to get home. And up there in Summit County, we had just started getting Uber and Lyft. But it was, it was very hard to get, to find someone to pick you up. So around that time of the morning, they literally were not around. So I was pretty much stranded in the ER. The free bus was out of the question because I was also having issues walking long distances. So the bus stop in relation to where my apartment was, there was just no way. And obviously going with what I just had gone through, I wasn't physically able to do that anyways. So eventually, one of the EMTs that had brought me in the ambulance saw me and said they would give me a ride home. And the only reason they did that is because they knew I worked at the sheriff's office. So they get me home. I'm trying to get settled in to go back to sleep. And then another nosebleed starts. It just kept coming. So the last thing I remember doing is walking into my kitchen, grabbing the phone, dialing 911, and all I remember saying is help. And then I literally remember going down on my kitchen floor, and I remember having a towel, because like I said, that blood was just coming, and I didn't want to get it on the carpet. So I'm literally just said help, and just kind of went down, and, the next thing you know, I'm in the back of the ambulance again. And they had injected me, given me the injection. So I had come to and realized, okay, I'm in the back of the ambulance again. I remember at that moment, I'm crying, I'm tired, and there's two ambulance technicians on either side of my stretcher at the bottom, by the doors. And I just remember just saying out loud that I was done. I remember saying that I was done, that I was over this, and I just wanted my life to be over because I can't do this anymore. I remember clearly saying that. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I wanted to end my life. So I'm there talking out loud. And then I realized I'm looking at the EMS techs, and they're in their own little world. They're too involved in their own conversation that they didn't even realize what I had said. Which thankfully was a good thing. Otherwise, they probably would have placed an M1 hold on me. Finally, this time, I'm at the ER again. The doctors cauterized one of the blood vessels in my nose. So that ultimately, finally, fixed the problem. From then on, I had to use a face mask instead of the nasal cannulas in my nose, and added a humidifier to the oxygen tank. I mean, it was just a complete mess. Um, but I was on oxygen, and I still couldn't breathe. Literally. Through the rest of the year, at every turn, I was hitting all these obstacles of health issues from my heart, blood pressure, issues with the debilitating muscular pain in my arms and my legs, my disease, my medications, etc. I couldn't win no matter what I did. In August of 2017, I made the decision to resign from the sheriff's office. As mentioned before, it was one of the toughest decisions, but one of the best decisions. But then reality hit. Well, now what? Now what am I going to do? I couldn't physically work a full-time job, but I needed to find something, some sort of income, part-time. Well, lucky for me, I found a job at a wellness spa in Breckenridge that was a nice change and obviously no stress. Then I got a call from the Dillon Police Department and had the opportunity to help them out part-time until they found a full-time person at the end of the year. So that came in handy as well. I was very, very thankful for that opportunity. Well, now we go into 2018. I was again at, well, now what? What am I going to do? I was unemployed again. But then I found a part-time job that was, well, literally less than part-time. It was like 10 to 15 hours a week at an oil and gas company that was really chill and, easy work. Then I found at the same time another job working at an appliance repair company where I could work 2 days a week from home. I mean, it was a no-brainer. I mean, it was perfect. It was a perfect situation. But I was still having my health issues, and they weren't getting any better. It was just getting worse. By the spring of 2018, I knew that I had to make another life-altering decision. And I was experiencing that same feeling as I did before I left Texas. Feeling unfulfilled, unhappy, defeated. But this time I felt like my life was hanging in the balance. In March 2018, I knew that I had to start making plans to move back to Texas. I didn't know how, who, what, where. I just knew that's what I needed to do. I had it in my mind that I would be in Texas by July the 1st. I don't know why I picked that date. I just picked July the 1st. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but for some reason, that date was my deadline. Suddenly, things started falling into place, and I used UPS to ship my belongings to Mom and Dad's house, which, surprisingly enough, was very economically, it was perfect for me. I mean, they gave me a discount. I mean, I couldn't have planned that any better. And plus, I had sold all my big furniture, so I didn't have to worry about any bigger items. My landlord found someone else to lease my apartment, and I managed to take care of all the specifics, everything that I needed, right before I moved. And my moving date, my last day in Colorado, was June 28th, 2018. And from that point on, I suddenly started to feel like I could breathe again. So that was the time, I had to make that life-altering decision. Because I knew I was literally going to lose my life, whether it be by my own hands or by my body giving out on its own. It was a serious decision that I needed to face. And again, I didn't know the specifics, but just like I did when I moved from Texas to Colorado, I just jumped. I literally felt like I jumped off a cliff. And that same feeling came around. And the funny thing is, it was exactly 20 years later, the same month, when I moved from Texas to Colorado. Well, without even thinking about it, moving back from Colorado to Texas was in June of 2018. And when I moved, it was in June of 1998. So, if that wasn't planned, I just don't know how else. That was fate. That was meant to be, definitely. But like I said, from June 28th on, then I suddenly started to breathe again. And my life came back. I literally got my life back. Doing that literally saved my life. And I'm still breathing. I haven't felt that feeling of suffocation or claustrophobic. If anything, I feel more free. And that freedom has brought on a whole new life for me. So this is just the start. This is just the start of that life. And I'm here, and I'm grateful for my life, and I just want to share my experiences with you. So thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you have a great evening and a very blessed week. Thank you so much, and y'all take care. Love you guys. Bye bye.